So in other words, if I understand you, you would like the personal attacks upon you to stop, is that
Objection
correct?
leading.
It is leading to
Do you believe it serves the child's best interest to engage in matters in your personal life?
I do not. I would like to see those sort of things discontinued.
Okay. And do you believe if the judge permanently grants you a relocation, your relocation to Texas, do you believe that you can strike that? I'll strike that. You've co-parented effectively at some point, correct?
Correct.
Objection leading.
Oh, that's okay. Overruled.
Do you believe that you can do that again?
Yes.
And will you continue to put forth your best effort to do that?
Yes.
What efforts will you make to stave this from being a high conflict case?
Well, being consistent, obviously, not making unilateral decisions, that sort of nature. Making sure she has complete access to any doctors or school or anything related to information that she has access to that. And where it's given to me, I would certainly provide it in any situation that it's given to me. A case in point is the Baylor, Scott and White. They don't give information like the old doctor here. The doctor here at Anthem Pediatrics would give you a summary sheet, and I would immediately put that into the co-parenting app. But the new one, it's an app that you sign up for, and then you just have access to it. Each parent has access to it. They know everything about everything for our child.
Okay. And there's been an allegation in the pleadings that you treat the plaintiff as a second-class parent. Would you agree with that?
No.
Okay, why not?
Well, in the matter of normal business of making sure our child's needs are met, there needs to be certain scheduling done. But when we first started with the pediatrician, we both agreed with that pediatrician. And then there's times that the pediatrician makes a recommendation. He says, okay, look, she might have lazy eye. And then he recommended Lopez Eye Institute. When she's dealing with labial adhesions, he recommended Dr. Casey at Children's Urology. And so she would get upset about that, thinking that I was making unilateral decisions on that, but that's not the case. It was the primary care physician referring those different individuals over for whatever need that she had. And she certainly was involved. I've notified her, I've always notified her, and I gather that out of all of the different appointments, out of about, I believe, 26 or 27 of them, there were a few, I would count 3 that were short notice, but the majority of these were more than 2 weeks or more notice.
Okay. And how is the child doing in Texas?
She's doing great. She loves Texas. We just had a parent-teacher conference last week, and according to her teacher,
You can't tell me what she says.
well, I received information that she's doing really well. She's hitting all the milestones.
Okay. I have no further questions right now.
Two questions?
Yes.
Did you need a water or anything?
I think I'm good for now,
Okay.
thank you.
Sorry, give me 1 minute to get my notes. Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine. I was gonna say we could take a restroom.
Do you want to take over?
I do.
Okay, then I get,
I didn't know.
Sure.
Is that
we can
okay?
get with the break, yeah.
all right. And I'm ready to go and come back.
You can sit down with your chair.
You have to- Okay. All right, I would like to talk about starting off with the exchange issue in December of 2021 with the cruise. So, first of all, you testified that it was really late by the time you had a chance to look at the messages. So I'm gonna have you turn to Exhibit J, first to Exhibit J, Bates 538. Do you remember the timestamp on the at-post messages is 2 hours ahead? Do you recall that?
Hold on, can I get there first? Did you say 568 or
538.
Okay, I'm at the 538.
Okay. So do you recall the testimony when it was on direct and she was testifying that the at-post messages are not the same time as the real time?
I recall that.
Okay, so do you recall that the at-post messages are 2 hours ahead?
No, I don't recall it being 2. I recall it being 3 hours on your exhibits.
Okay,
And 2 hours on this exhibit.
right, so 2 hours ahead on this exhibit, correct?
Yes,
Okay. So you testified that when you got out of your meeting, it was too late to meet, correct?
yes,
Okay. But these messages show that you were out of your meeting by 8:40. Don't you agree with that?
No, it wouldn't have been by 8:40. The exchange, I left the exchange at 8:30.
Okay, well, if you turn to page 539, it says, that, I mean, it shows you sent her a message at 8:45. And you testified earlier that the reason why you didn't meet her to exchange your daughter,
Can you
forcing her to fly, basically leave town because her flight, she was gonna miss her flight, was due to you getting the messages too late.
I apologize, I don't see where I sent her a message at 8:45.
Okay, well, at the top of the page, it says, it's now 8:20. How late are you going to be? And she said, I thought we said 9 o'clock. I'm on my way. And this was at 8:45. Because the messages say 10:45.
Okay. It looks like to me it was about 8:20 when I wrote that message.
Right, and she said she was on her way. So I'm just trying to understand your testimony when you said that you were unable to get out of your meeting in time.
Because I left at 8:30 and she sent me the message that she's on her way at 8:40. I'd already left.
Right, so you couldn't make accommodations to meet her to get your daughter that evening?
No, not until after I completed my appointment.
Okay, but you were aware that she had your daughter and that she was trying to exchange her with you?
Yes, but she never told me that there was a flight she had to get to.
Okay. And based on that, you didn't look at the messages until she was already out of town. And you testified that you knew that she had booked a flight for your daughter a month in advance, I believe was approximately your testimony.
I testified that my understanding was on the 11th, correct? That
Okay.
she would be flying on the 11th.
But it's true that you have not submitted any documentation showing that there was any flight booked previous to that date.
I don't understand.
You haven't presented any proof that there was an itinerary month prior to that.
Oh, no, I have not.
Are you planning to divide the medical bill from the emergency room that was submitted in evidence?
She asked for a division of that, but through looking at the actual medical record, the medical record stated she wasn't sick. That she didn't have any.
Okay, the question was, are you going to divide 50% of the medical bill for the emergency room?
My understanding is that Medicaid paid for it already.
If Medicaid hadn't paid for it, were you planning on paying half?
I had disputed that bill.
Okay, and it was because you believed that it was unnecessary?
Yes.
I'm kind of going in order of your testimony, so it's a little skipping topic to topic. So you testified that you have a background in pool design, is that correct?
Yes.
And that you're currently selling pools?
Designing and selling pools, yes.
Okay, and you testified and your motion also reflected that you stated you were offered a job with a company called Serenity.
Serenity Pools and Outdoors, yes.
Okay, and you agree with me that your communications regarding your job in Texas had widely varying offers of pay?
Objection, assume specs not in evidence.
Sustained, I guess you can just restate it.
Well, isn't it true that you at one point mentioned that you would be getting paid $250,000?
No, I never stated that.
Do you agree that at one point you said you'd be paid between $100,000 and $150,000?
I don't recall those numbers.
Didn't your motion say that it was, or initial 5501 letter say that it was $125,000?
I believe that potentially it could have been between 75 and 125,000 would be what my recollection is.
Well, it's too late now, but again, I would object based on assumed facts not in evidence. We don't have a letter in evidence.
Well, I guess he already testified that.
And then when you actually got to Texas, you filed a financial disclosure form saying that you actually made $40,000.
No, if you look at the
it-
financial,
Yes or no, does your financial disclosure form say you were making $40,000 after you got to Texas?
I believe I put minimum 48,000 annual, I believe, if I recall
Okay.
correctly.
You're right, 48,000. So after you stated it would be 125,000 pay in Texas, your financial disclosure form filed on July 10th reported that you were making 48,000.
Correct.
Okay. And then you got another job, a different job in Texas at the end of July, correct?
Correct.
And that job is the one that you're saying you're making 75,000.
That's correct.
Okay, and your job, you said, is selling pools.
Designing and selling pools, yes.
Okay. Did you look for any employment in the Las Vegas area in sales?
No.
Would
I
you?
apologize, I did look for system pavers. They had an opening
Mhm.
that was similar. It was not designing swimming pools, but it was designing deck work and that sort of thing.
Okay, would you agree with me that part of your skills of your current employment is doing sales?
Not specifically sales. I have a design background,
But you work on commission,
base plus commission.
and you're required to sell pools.
Yes,
So would you agree with me that part of your job skills and efforts include sales?
yes, it's included, yes.
Okay. And is there, and you, again, you stated that you did not attempt to find any jobs in Las Vegas that related to any kind of sales career?
Objection, misstates testimony.
Well, I'm asking him.
Okay, so you don't get to talk to her during the hearing, but it's overruled. Go ahead.
I stated that I had a job interview for system pavers, which would have been designing deck work essentially and selling.
Okay. Now that, okay, so after, when you were looking for jobs in the Las Vegas area, you stated in one of your discovery responses that you applied with the same company you work in now, in Las Vegas, is that true? Sylvan Pools?
I did not apply for the position in the Las Vegas division, but yes, I did apply for Anthony and Sylvan Pools on approximately January 31st of 2024 for a position that they had open in the Austin division area.
And no, and isn't it true that your response to your discovery responses, in response to the question of what job you've applied for in Las Vegas was Sylvan Pools?
No. Anthony and Sylvan was specifically for the Austin area, but I did apply for I tried to reach out to many other pool companies, yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you turn to Exhibit 39. And plaintiff's, one, I think we might have an extra book. She doesn't have the numbered book. So you left them all here, are they in your box tonight? Right.
Oh, you know what? Is it just one?
Yeah. When you get to Exhibit 39, please turn to Plaintiff Spates 1411.
I'm there.
Okay. Once you're, do you see here where you answered that you pursued employment in the greater Las Vegas area and the very first company is Anthony Sylvan Pools?
Yeah, I see that.
Okay. So you would agree with me that you applied at Anthony Sylvan Pools?
No, they didn't have a position open, but when I inquired, they directed me to their website.
Okay, so it says you pursued employment with Anthony Sylvan Pools was one of the companies, and you agree with me, they have a location in both Henderson, Nevada and Las Vegas, Nevada.
I'm not familiar, the Henderson location, yes, I'm familiar with, but I don't know that there's a Las Vegas per se.
Isn't it true there's also a Summerlin location?
I
The
don't,
company you currently work for in Texas?
I'm not familiar with it, no.
Okay, and you are, from your own testimony, close with the CEO who wanted to do a ride-along with you, and you were valued by the company in your short time there.
Objection, Ms. State's testimony.
He can answer, I believe that's what he said.
Counsel,
Oh,
that's
I
the
was just
state,
arguing.
that's the state.
Is it true that the CEO wanted to do a ride-along with you?
Yes,
And you believe that you are valued by the company in the short time you've been there?
yes,
And they do business in multiple states,
yes,
including Nevada?
yes.
So sir, what you said obviously was hearsay, what you said they told you what to do, but, so you were looking for a job here designing and selling pools, and one of the companies you reached out to was the company that you work for now, but you work for them in Texas, right?
Yes,
It's the same company,
it's the same company, they have multiple divisions.
so your understanding is at the point in time you were reaching out looking for a job, was it the beginning of this year?
Yeah, that,
2024?
yes, January,
So that's the beginning of this year, as I said, so when you did that, it's your understanding that there weren't openings here, is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay, and there were only but there were openings at least in Texas,
And some other locations, yes, they directed me,
but just not here in Nevada,
correct.
okay.
And just to clarify, isn't it true, you didn't actually start working for this particular company, Sylvan, until the end of July?
I believe my start date was August 12th.
Okay, or the beginning of August. I believe you signed with them end of July or beginning of August.
I believe my contract was at the end of July signing, but start date, I believe, was around August 12th of this year.
Okay. I'm gonna move to admit Exhibit 39.
Any objection to that?
None.
So exhibit 39 is needed.
Did you work, your company that you worked for in Las Vegas, what was the name of it?
At what point?
The one that
Objection,
you-
Vega.
Okay, so you can just clarify when.
The one you last worked for in Las Vegas, what was the name of that company?
Lifeguard pools.
When was the last time you did work for them?
My last job with him was on or around August of 2022, the last job that I sold for him.
Why did he pay you money in your bank account in '24?
Because after all the jobs close out, then they run a tally to see what the profitability is, because with his situation, the commission bonus structure was dependent upon the profitability of the job.
Okay, so you were still receiving income from that company as early as '24? Or as late as
check.
'24?
Action mistakes. Well, I would object as to vague.
Well, I think it was a compound question, but can you just repeat it?
Sure. You were getting income from lifeguard pools in 2024, correct?
That was a one-time payment of the, what they call green balance of all the prior jobs sold.
So is that a yes? You were
I was not
receiving,
employed,
you had a deposit from lifeguard pools in 2024, correct?
yes,
And you're friends with the owner as well, correct?
no.
How long did you work for them?
From approximately June of 2019 until September of 2022.
You testified the first day that your wife works for UPS?
No,
Okay, that's what my notes had, and then I know you testified today that she works for AAA.
yes, that's
It's-
correct,
Your wife has a job that she can work remotely, correct?
yes,
And you testified that there is family in Texas. Isn't it true that your wife has cousins in Texas?
yes.
Is
But,
that the
well-
cousins?
Not my wife's cousins, no, it's my wife's brother who has children that would be Belle's cousins by marriage,
Okay, so your wife has nieces and nephews in Texas,
yes,
and they're the ones that live in San Antonio?
no,
Isn't it true that you don't have any direct family in Texas?
I do not,
And that it does not have any direct family in Texas?
I'm not aware of that.
And when you were mentioning cousins, was that your wife's family members?
Well, they're by marriage, but they're cousins to Gigi.
Okay. You testified that you weren't able to put your daughter in Kids Strong activity?
Correct,
Okay, just to clarify, you do have an Exhibit S, which has already been admitted, is receipts from you paying them.
they received $17 because normally it's $117 to try to take advantage of the enrollment process, but they knocked off $100. But specifically, they stated, and we went over this, she and I, that she wouldn't be able to start unless both parents signed the waiver release form.
Okay, so you initially signed her up,
Yes,
okay. Okay. You testified that in previous correspondence that you do not drink alcohol at all because of your faith. Is that true?
no,
You don't
I didn't-
recall
I
saying
didn't.
that?
I didn't file that document.
Okay, but you were admitting that your testimony is that you did have a drink, but you spilled it on yourself.
Yes,
And you disagree with the officer's testimony that you were intoxicated
yes,
from his experience? Okay. You testified that you offered staff development days when you were trying to co-parent. Do you remember that testimony?
I do.
Isn't it true that she works those days because she works at the school she's an employee at the school and does not get those days off?
Objection assumes facts not in evidence again.
Sustained.
Are you aware that does not get those days off?
I did not know that. She certainly didn't make that clear in the app when I asked her about it.
Okay, so you were not aware that she does not?
Objection argumentative.
Sustained.
Okay, you testified that you gave, no, so you testified about therapy, that you put your daughter, into therapy with Dr. Pack. And you testified that your testimony today was that you sent some release forms to her attorney?
I did.
Okay,
Uh,
but you
The
don't have
intake forms, to be specific.
the intake forms, but you did not submit any evidence regarding that in your books?
I believe that there's copies of emails where it shows as an attachment
Mhm.
to
Okay.
her attorney, Kiera Stevenson at the time.
And you didn't put, so it's true, you would agree with me that you had your daughter in therapy for 6 to 7 months when alleged that she didn't know anything about your daughter going to this therapy. In fact, it's been litigated, right?
Categorically false.
Okay, my question is, you know that the allegation that has said she didn't know about therapy for 6 to 7 months and that has been litigated, correct?
I guess I don't understand, it's been litigated.
You went to a hearing where it was argued that you just found out about this therapy after 6 to 7 months of your daughter going, correct? Do you recall that being an
I don't recall that
argument?
litigation being the way you're phrasing it, no.
Okay, do you recall stating to you that it's been 6 months and she did not know that your daughter was in therapy?
I don't know where she stated that it was 6 months that she did not know about the therapy, because specifically in the app and between her attorney, she was notified about Dr. Pack.
Well, isn't it true that the appointments weren't put on the app for your daughter going to Dr. Pack?
There's, yeah, the doctor's instructions, Dr. Pack's instructions, because of the high conflict nature.
Okay,
And
you have to answer my question. Isn't it true that it's not on the app when the appointments are?
yes,
And there's no conversations between you and about your daughter going to therapy
there
on
is,
the app
there is.
earlier than that you have submitted at all during this trial?
Yes, we have it in there where I specifically told her about Dr. Pack and asked her to reach out to him to schedule appointments as well.
Oh, okay, so in the beginning when you were suggesting him,
No,
but there's no agreement between the two of you. I mean, you've been to court on this twice about her not
Judge,
agreeing.
Argumentative.
Overruled.
About her not agreeing, that you not having an agreement on which therapist to go to.
so she stated at one point in the app post chat log that she agreed that it could be either Dr. Lopez or Dr. Pack. She objected to Safe House. And shortly thereafter, Dr. Pack was engaged in.
Okay, and you're saying that you're alleging that you sent the intake forms, but they never came back,
Yes, I sent them to her attorney.
and you never received them back from anyone?
No.
Okay, we talked about today, testified about Donna's house and not having the orientation done, right?
Yes,
About the Christmas. First of all, your first comment was it wasn't her year to have Christmas anyway. You recall that?
yes.
Okay, isn't it true that it was her year to have Christmas Eve, and she was to have December 22nd, December 23rd, and December 24th?
I'd have to look at the parenting app, but I'm pretty certain that on 2023, Christmas Day was assigned to me.
Correct, and the issue that was brought up during her direct was that she missed out on her Christmas vacation with, or Christmas holiday with your child, which she was to be awarded Christmas Eve.
She said Christmas, I just remember that Christmas, the actual Christmas day I was assigned that year, so I didn't take for Christmas, but
And she went to the exchange, completed the orientation before the exchange time that day. And is it your testimony that it wasn't fast enough?
Objection, as to the form of the question, and also assumes facts not in evidence. Again,
Do you recall, oh, sorry, don't need to rephrase.
Overruled, go ahead.
could you repeat the question?
Yes, you recall that she testified that she did the orientation before the exchange time, correct?
Yes,
And that, was that not early enough? Is that the reason why you did not want to do the exchange?
it wasn't up to me, it was up to Donna's house directives to me.
And you're stating that you were not permitted to exchange the child?
According to Donna's house, yes.
Okay, and stating that Donna's house gave her full permission?
objection
that testimony?
calls for, it's hearsay.
Well, I think it's argumentative, so just move on.
Alright. You testified that I'm not gonna put words in your mouth, made statements to you that you found offensive about you wanting to be with her. You
Yes,
recall that testimony? Isn't it true that you did call her and ask her if you could be together?
no,
And you, multiple occasions in the app said that you love her and you wanted to be friendly with her.
nothing more than a co-parenting relationship, and I do love her as much as she is or she's the mother of the child we share.
You also agree with me that you asked her to be a family during that time frame when you were trying to have her consent to moving to Texas.
What I stated was that we're always going to be family, because we share a daughter together.
Well, wouldn't you agree with me that you sent her messages saying, I still love you,
Yes,
I like it when we get friendly.
I did not say it that way.
All right, turn to 183 of Exhibit 1. Okay. Okay, I'm going to correct my statement. It is not get friendly, it is are friendly. I apologize.
I will agree to that.
And you've also said I love you multiple times.
Which page am I on, 180?
Yeah, so the friendly comment was 183. One of the I love yous is on 186. And there's and then you offered to pay her money. You remember that conversation about relocation?
Is there one single question pending? I see a lot of, look at this page, I'm just objecting to that.
What's your objection?
My objection is, I guess it would be more of an inquiry, is there a question pending?
Maybe just restate the question.
Okay. So you stated that you agreed that you've said I love you to her multiple times.
Yes,
Okay. And that you were trying to offer to pay her to let you leave, right?
I offered moving expenses, I believe, yeah.
And, you. Oh, yeah. Strike that. So let's talk about your request to relocate. You state that it's an advantage for your career, is that accurate?
An advantage for primarily Gigi, if I can have the career, yes.
Okay, but my question is, you stated that you're having a career there is an advantage, correct?
Of course.
Okay. And that you like the climate?
Yeah, I suppose.
Do you recall testifying that it has a good climate, better climate than Las Vegas?
I testified that it has a temperate climate.
Do you feel that it is a better climate than Las Vegas?
I do for gardening and whatnot, yes.
Okay. And your daughter is in kindergarten, so she hasn't been in school, regular school she did go to kindergarten in Las Vegas, correct?
She did not.
And her first time going to school in kindergarten was in Texas, correct?
Correct.
So she hasn't personally had any opportunity to compare schools, clearly.
You're talking about from Gigi's perspective?
Elementary schools have never been attended in both Nevada and Texas by your daughter. She has not attended elementary school in both states, correct?
Yes, that's correct, but I don't know how she would be able to offer an opinion of comparing schools at 5 years old.
I wasn't saying that. I said she would not have had the opportunity to go to both schools in Nevada and Texas at this point since she started kindergarten, correct?
Correct.
Do you believe that it is a greater advantage for your daughter to be in Texas considering those items versus not living in the same state as her mother?
Which items specifically?
Your career, the climate, and your belief about the benefit of the school.
No, I believe she has to have her mom actively involved with her. And that's why I facilitate all the Zoom calls and make sure that she has that constant contact, and I've constantly flown back and forth to make sure she does have that.
Okay, so your wife is able to work in Las Vegas because she works remotely, correct?
Objection, the state's testimony.
Well, I think it's been asked and answered a couple of times.
Aside from your testimony about your career and the climate, what other advantages is it to your daughter specifically to leave the state of Nevada where her mother lives?
Well, I think there's a few, obviously, factors, but where our location is, the crime is quite lower than what we were able to afford here. We had to live in North Las Vegas with the lower income. The school opportunity is far superior than what I was able to get her to here when we lived in North Las Vegas. The other items that you mentioned, the temperate climate, she's very outdoorsy and nature driven, and she loves to camp and she loves to do nature activities.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more access to fishing and camping there than here. And there's also, she actually does adore her cousins, okay? So she's able to see them more. We've already had 3 visits between going there and them coming to our place. But I think one of the primary reasons also is the income. I'll be able to afford to do more for her, like enroll her in extra activities and feel more accomplished in providing for my family, which I think also directly affects her happiness.
Okay, it's your testimony that you were unable to get a job in Las Vegas that pays, right now you're making $75,000 a year.
Yes, I could not find any opportunity like that.
Can I ask you, so the cousins you keep talking about, they're not biological cousins, right?
Correct.
They're related somehow to your wife?
Through marriage, yes.
Okay. And then when you say the school that you have her in down there is better than the school she would have had to go to here, had she gone to school, what is the school she would have had to go to here?
Freedom Classical Academy is what we agreed on, is the name of the school.
And did you do any research regarding that school?
I did.
You did it online, I assume?
Yes, you can gather this information from like school rating companies as well as.
Well, I can't do that, but you
I'm
can.
sorry.
So what is it that you found out?
So I found out that particular school, proficiency scores were 42%.
Is that school in North Las Vegas?
Yes.
So that's what the school you would have been zoned for, is it like a charter school or?
The school that we would have been zoned for would have been far less. Its max proficiency score was 15%.
What is that school
That school for the Clark County School District, I don't remember the name of that school because we had already agreed to do Freedom Classical.
It's a charter school though?
Yes, it is.
Do they get in by lottery or would it have been challenging for her to get in?
Oh, we did the lottery and then we actually enrolled her together, Mom and I.
So she was already admitted and accepted to that school?
That is correct.
Okay, all right.
Isn't it true that works at a school that she wants to, I mean, there wasn't a full agreement on a specific school, correct? Because you had also talked about Pinecrest.
No, she has never talked to me about Pinecrest or Legacy Traditional Schools.
And she's never talked to you about the school she works.
Why-
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained.
So you,
Oh, no.
and you asked the court for a request to relocate in March of '24, correct?
Yes, that's the hearing date, I believe was March 26th.
Okay, and your motion was obviously several weeks earlier than that.
I can't remember when it was filed, the motion, but yes, it was.
And your daughter would not have started school until the following fall, correct? If you had stayed in Las Vegas.
Correct.
And you heard the testimony about the ratings of the two schools that would have wanted.
I don't recall what the proficiency score is on that. I just only recall her saying that those schools are better than the school she's currently attending.
Does your daughter have any special needs as it relates to her health or education?
No, she's healthy. Gigi's healthy and I would say I think she needs therapy and that's why the court made the finding to put her in therapy. But overall, she has good mental and emotional health and yeah.
Okay. Isn't it true that you withheld your daughter from over the Labor Day weekend?
No.
Is it your position it was her weekend? I mean, your weekend?
No.
Okay, and tell me why you believe you did not withhold.
Because I was there waiting for nearly 40 minutes on the assigned date and time.
Okay, and then was this after you waited, you left and then reached out to you, correct? And asked you to meet her?
No.
Because she was 40 minutes late, right?
Well, I didn't see those messages until approximately 5:45, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm. So why didn't you have allowed to have any time that weekend, the entire weekend?
Well, first, she didn't ask at the time that I saw the message to change the exchange or anything like that. She just aggressively accused me and just went after me aggressively in the app, but she didn't actually ask for a change of time until way later. I think it was because police showed up at some point, according to what she stated in the app, but
Okay, isn't it true that that was a day where there was, oh, the raining and the flooding, so there was an issue with her getting there due to the flooding?
that's why I stayed so long.
And you agree with me that you did not get the entire holiday weekend exchange, or visitation?
Yeah, the result of that is we moved on with our plans, and yes, she didn't have the holiday weekend that particular weekend.
And when you say you moved on with your plans, what exactly are you referring to?
Well, oftentimes, and I can't remember if it's that one or on another occasion, a Nevada day, but we often do things, we do family outings, and we have people that we meet with and that we go places, and I can't remember what the exact plans were, but we certainly, that night, I believe we went out to dinner with
Okay.
other family.
So you're stating that you had too many plans for the entire weekend for to get her visitation out?
No, not at all.
Okay,
I
isn't it,
just, I didn't see the messages where she's requesting all that until later, until probably Sunday or Monday, if my memory serves.
okay, so your testimony is you just didn't check the app after she was 40 minutes late to the exchange?
Oh, I checked it when I was able to, but my phone was searching for service, and it was heating up, and it eventually died. And that's why I stayed so long to wait for the exchange, nearly 40 minutes past the time.
Isn't it true that we asked you for your phone records, but you did not produce them?
I no longer have access to that phone record through T-Mobile. I only have my AT&T records.
Is it true that you took your daughter to a therapy session that weekend without telling?
That's not true.
Not the entire weekend?
No, it's a holiday weekend.
You testified earlier that you had difficulty with the exchange at the airport on the curb. Do you remember that testimony?
Which
The more recent exchange when you met at the airport after day one of trial?
after day one?
Yes, last time we were in trial, you testified that you were on the curb and you thought,
So, you mean day two then?
yes, on day 2 of trial when you testified that you met on the curb of the airport.
Yes.
Isn't it true that we agreed that that would be the best place to exchange?
Objection vague as to who's we.
You and the attorneys agreed that that would be the best place to do the exchange.
We had lots of discussions. I don't know exactly what you're saying when it comes to that, but I do know that normally if I have to fly right back, that particular time I didn't because we're flying in for trial. But I did ask her in the app if she could, if we could do it normally as like through the security doors. But what I remember all the attorneys discussing, which is kind of hazy, is that upon leaving, when we depart Las Vegas, could we do it near the departure spot so that it can be typically just, she can stop and get her out of the car and go. For her convenience as well as just expediting getting on the plane and going through security properly. But as far as when I'm delivering our child for her custody, I don't recall having any discussions with any attorneys on that.
Okay. Wouldn't you agree with me that you're going back and forth between Texas and Nevada can be hard on your daughter?
She actually loves to fly, believe it or not. So she hasn't expressed it being hard on her when it comes to that.
And I'm going to object to anything you say that's hearsay what your daughter's saying. But do you believe that it's hard on her to travel back and forth?
I believe it's not, because I observed, and she's she loves all the attention that she gets from the flight attendants, her little cards that she's now collecting, little wings. And especially when we're able to afford flights like Delta where she can watch videos, and it's a very fun thing for her.
Have you been having her fly on Delta?
There's 1 or 2 flights that we were able to afford to Delta, yeah.
Okay. You testified that she's had some trouble with the exchanges back and forth, though, the transitional stress of the exchanges.
It's happened before when, yes, mom and dad are in the same vicinity, then she's had some difficulty with that, only just recently.
And you would agree that if you were doing exchanges at school, for example, she would not have to go through any transitional stress between you and mom?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
If you lived in Las Vegas, would you expect to do the exchanges at school?
Objection calls for speculation.
That's sustained.
Isn't it true that after the reported that you were intoxicated at the airport, you filed a motion to modify custody or visitation?
I didn't file it, no, I had counsel.
Right, on behalf of you.
I believe one of the attorneys filed the motion, yes.
And it was an emergency motion to take visitation away from them based on her reporting that you were intoxicated.
No, I think it was a motion to allow just the normal exchanges to take place, because at that particular juncture, she had refused to let her get on the plane with me that night. And so I think it was largely on how are we going to get custody back to dad.
Okay. Isn't it true that you have attended the therapy appointments with your wife and the child?
My memory serves that on one particular occasion, the doctor asked to hear from my wife.
So nothing that the doctor said, you can't say anything
I
that
see.
the doctor said.
Okay. So the direct answer is no, she did not attend an appointment, but she was asked to give an opinion on what she observed, something happening at home.
Okay. And her mom was not asked, oh, it was something that was going on at home at your house
Yes.
particularly? Okay. You testified earlier you were unhappy about the week that, okay. You testified earlier that after you moved to Texas and your daughter came to visit mom, that you didn't get FaceTime during that week. You recall that testimony?
I'm sorry, could you clarify the,
Yes. You testified earlier that after you moved to Texas and your daughter came to visit mom for a week, you did not get FaceTime. You remember that testimony?
yes, I believe, yes.
Yes, okay. Isn't it true that it sent you videos and photos during the visitation she had?
I did not get any videos.
You don't recall that being on, her sending those on the app to you?
I recall her sending some photos of her and Gigi, but I do not recall receiving any video. But I do recall replying to her saying that it's not about what I want, it's about just making sure Gigi has that reassurance that, oh, here's dad, being able to interact. And I did send her that in the app post.
And you agree that you've been getting video, you've both been doing video visitation on the times that you have not had your daughter, you've gotten video visits, correct?
Objection, vague form of the question.
Within the last 3 months?
Overall.
So
Yes or no? video visits in the last 3 months?
I would say yes, but not as many as court ordered to allow.
Okay. And isn't it true that you recorded the video visits at your house? And
No,
rewatched them from your cameras in your house?
no, aside from one occasion where I consulted security footage, no, we don't have any digital interception of these video calls that she has testified on.
And you have a camera though in the room inside the house,
We
correct?
have Ring cameras on the outside and inside of the home, which includes, yes.
Okay, and you recall the court saying that you were not to do any recording anymore from the Ring videos, correct?
Yes, this court ordered that on, I believe, August 8th.
Okay. You testified that you signed all of the paperwork to have Dr. Bergquist do a custody evaluation. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes,
Do you recall after Dr. Bergquist after the initial contact of Dr. Bergquist saying it was unaffordable for her to pay the amount that was requested?
I don't recall anything like that. She never told me in the co-parenting app. No, I don't recall seeing anything like that.
Okay, and you didn't file a motion for her to continue the custody evaluation?
We had a fresh stipulation and order. I didn't know it was necessary to follow a motion for that.
Well, isn't it true that you couldn't afford the retainer?
Objection, asked and answered, argumentative.
At any point in time, did you find out she couldn't afford the retainer?
No, she never told me.
Your Honor, I have.
Okay, so you're down to kind of your last 5 minutes,
Okay.
so
Do you recall her testifying about that?
how about you ask that question about 3 times?
Oh, well, he said no. She testified about it. Pass the witness.
Did you have any redirect?
Just a few, Your Honor. Couple questions for you. The Exhibit J, it's stamp 538, the child exchange. When mom was late, I just want to ask you again, you had a meeting, a meeting with a client, correct?
Correct.
And asked and answered, but do you check your phone when you're working?
No.
Meeting with somebody?
It's not anything I can do. I'm engaged in doing a presentation process with a three-dimensional environmental design program.
And
with a
on
client.
page 539, top of the page, December 10th, 2021. You stated you wrote it yourself, so I can't believe that. Yes, Friday at 4 p.m. and returning her at 8 p.m., correct?
Yes, I was quoting directly what she had written in the parenting app, acknowledging the time.
And she told you she thought it was 9.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, counsel asked you if you had any evidence that that ticket that was purchased by plaintiff had the name of child on it. When did you find that out?
I found that out when I was pro se litigating, and I had served some subpoenas, and there was no objection to the subpoenas. And then I got her financial bank accounts, and within the bank account, there shows a confirmation number when you purchase a ticket through Frontier. And anybody can put that confirmation number into the Frontier website, and it'll tell you the whole itinerary.
Okay. And when you did that, what did you learn?
I learned that,
Objection hearsay. And, well, believe that they went to a discovery hearing when that was stricken.
it was not.
I mean, I don't know, I don't know.
Ruling
Okay.
for the court,
We're
sorry.
not gonna do that. Okay, I'll lie, go ahead.
Okay. And so you did the research, you put the confirmation number in, is
Correct.
that correct? And what did you learn?
I learned that I was able to access the itinerary, the travel itinerary, and Gigi's name was on that itinerary. And the ticket was purchased approximately, I want to say the last week of November.
And what significance is that?
Well, it concerns me because it
Well-
made me,
Was that prior to this debacle of
Yes.
not exchanging on time? Okay.
it was a month and a half or maybe around 5 weeks prior to that.
Okay. The medical bill from the hospital, I want to say it was the Henderson Hospital. Why are you disputing that?
Because when I went, and it took me a while to get, because my name wasn't on that hospital record, Henderson Hospital, and so it took me about 6 weeks, but I eventually got the medical records myself. And I quoted that medical record and their findings within App Close. And that's why I disputed it, because if you read that, she wasn't sick at all. She demonstrated to be alert, happy. The doctor actually was confused as to why she was
Right,
even there.
objection to the extent that any hearsay for what the doctor said.
Yeah, you really can't tell us what the doctor did or didn't say, so that's yours.
Exhibit J, rate stamp 628. Okay, and council questioned you regarding your efforts to find employment here in Las Vegas.
Yes,
Okay, is this discussion on App Close, does it reflect your discussion with the plaintiff in regard to your efforts to get employment here?
yes, at one point I talked to her about daycare alone being $15,000 a year, and I need to find a job that will be able to do well enough, and I told her that, because she asked if I could go work for NV Energy, which was a short period of time that I was employed with NV Energy as a designer, clear back in 1998, I believe, and so I told her that that was 24 years ago, but
The communication here on February 16th at 7:47, did you tell her the swimming pool industry here is broken?
yes, that's exactly how I stated it. The swimming pool industry here is broken.
Okay, all right. And then further on down the line, where it says 7:51 PM, did you tell her, I have tried everything, with an exclamation point?
Yes, I stated that.
Okay, okay. All right, I'm not gonna ask you why it's preferable. Do you believe it's, strike that. Do you know why the plaintiff won't sign enrollment for Kidstrom?
She has not told me why.
Okay. And Exhibit C, which was not admitted, well, I won't even go there. Exhibit G. That is, contains your communications with plaintiff's prior counsel, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And within that exhibit, without telling me, you just say yes or no question. Within that exhibit, is there an email wherein you provide former counsel
Objection, leaving.
redirect?
Overruled.
Okay. Within that exhibit, is there an email to Attorney Stevenson wherein you provide the intake form for Dr. Patrick?
Yes,
Okay. Okay. Specifically, did you do that on April 24th, 2023 at 6:31 p.m.?
yes.
Okay. What is your understanding as to when plaintiff completed the orientation at Donna's house?
At about 5 p.m. on that Friday.
What Friday?
Of the, what would have been the assigned date, Friday at 6 p.m. that was the exchange, but I believe she did the orientation at 5 p.m.
That
Friday.
same day, an hour before the exchange was supposed to take place.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. All right. Judge has asked you some questions, as has counsel, about the Texas versus Nevada schooling, the schools, and you advised the court that you looked at, I want to say Freedom Academy here in Las Vegas. How did that compare with the school in Texas?
So, where she's currently enrolled
Sorry.
has a proficiency score rating of 87%.
Okay.
Freedom Classical, which is a magnet school here, had a proficiency rating of 42%.
Okay. All right. Any other distinctions between the two schools?
I think they're both all-day schools. One was a magnet school here. The other one is part of their #1 school district called Round Rock Independent School District, which is really high scoring general school district. But Freedom Classical was not really part of the Clark County School District, the way I understand it. They're like a magnet school or a charter school.
This Labor Day weekend, just so I'm clear on this, when plaintiff was late for the exchange, the child exchange, did you go out of town that weekend?
No, not that weekend.
Okay, all right. And then how long is the flight between Texas and Vegas to do the exchange?
Yeah, so it's weird, but
Actual airtime?
yeah, airtime, sometimes it's up to 3 hours, sometimes it's as fast as 2 hours and 25 minutes, depending on jet streams and whatnot, but yeah.
Okay. And then were there issues regarding child exchanges in Vegas previously?
Yes, that's why we had to do supervised at Donna's house.
Okay, all right. Dr. Berquist, how many times did you reach out to the plaintiff to get this evaluation performed as this court ordered?
More than once. I can't remember the exact amount, but if my memory serves, I would say 2 to 3 times I asked her.
Okay. Let's turn, now there was,
Counsel, just so you know, it's 5 minutes to 5. I will not keep my staff past 5 o'clock, so you need to wrap it up.
I have 2 more questions. 623, page 623, and forgive me, I don't know what, I believe I want to say it's in exhibit J, 623.
Okay, I'm there.
You are? All right. You there?
Yes.
Okay, you heard, counsel questioned you regarding statements you made to the plaintiff, saying that you loved her, or you love her rather. If you could look at the bottom of page 623, February 16th, 2024 at 6:44 a.m. What did you tell the plaintiff?
I stated I just wished we could work together like Mika and I.
Who is Mika?
She's my ex-wife and the mother of my other 2 children.
Okay, do you love her?
Yes.
Objection relevance.
Okay, And then final question on page 630. 2/16/2024, 8:45 PM. It's towards the lower end of the page. You say, I just want to be friends. What did you tell the defendant?
So I said, I just want to be friends like I am with Mika. You have such great qualities. Gigi has so much to learn from you.
Okay. Alright. Do you believe that the plaintiff misconstrued when you told her you love her? Do you believe that was taken out of context somehow?
Yes.
Final question. You said you love her, you didn't say you were in love with her, correct?
Correction meeting.
Okay.
Okay, is that the last one?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so you can step down. So council, you're gonna both submit your closing briefs in writing, October 28th at 4 PM, do them simultaneously, because I don't want you responding to each other's briefs, but I just want them to be your closing brief, but you need to file them in. October 28th at 4 PM.
4 PM. Do you want proposed findings of fact?
No.
No? Okay.
Thank you.